If you've been around for a little bit, you know that when the holidays come around, I get a little nostalgic for the tech of yesteryear here on the channel because I'm old and that's what happens. But I love finding new inbox stuff on eBay. I love old tech regardless, but when it hasn't been touched before, hasn't been used, I get some excitement about that. And the great thing about these PDAs from the early 2000s and late 90s is that unlike the laptops and some of the other vintage tech that's been put out on eBay, the prices never really exploded on these. They've kept relatively affordable. This is a new inbox from August of 2000 that was $20. I think it was $21 that I was able to get. And you could go on there and get any number of deals. You could get the Palm, different ones, I think it's m105s or whatever, the ones that came in the kind of the plastic containers that you could get brand new for 20, 30 bucks. So it's great to get to look at some of the tech that we used to have to use on everywhere, because we didn't have phones, we didn't have phone books or large phone books on mobile devices, and we had to use stuff like this. We certainly weren't getting email on some of those phones that we had back in the day. So this is kind of what you used to organize what you had going on. If you didn't want to carry around a huge paper organizer, you had something like the Palm M100. Now this is the one that's a little bit cheaper. It was meant to, I think it was about 150 bucks when it was released, and the other ones were around 300 bucks and up for the Palm 3, and then of course you had a lot more for the Palm 5, which we'll show in a moment to compare it to. But this was meant, it's kind of the entry-level model. It's got a different build quality, which we'll see is a little bit bulkier than the other Palm devices. It came with 2 megabytes of RAM, 16, I believe, megabytes of storage, AAA battery, so not rechargeable. Hoping they're not in there, but I'm pretty sure Palm did a good job back in the day of keeping the batteries separate, so we'll be able to power this up with different batteries that we have. Let's take a look around the box. Links with Microsoft Outlook. You put it in your cradle. You had Outlook on your computer, which synced there. You could respond on here, and then when you put it back in your cradle at night, it would upload and send the email back when it was basically like snail mail at that point. The cool thing about this one, the M100, is it had interchangeable face plates. You could customize it a little bit because at the lower price point, you figure it's better for high school students and kids and college students and stuff like that. The iMac was out at that time, so you've got these, the color was kind of taking over different areas of text. So you had the different face plates that you could have. Tried to find some of them, didn't really find it, but you had the blue one, the silver one, and then the red one here as well. You had the leather cover that you could get for it, the wireless, or the keyboard that you could plug in and kind of use it to type out those emails, and then you had the cradle here that you could get as well. So what else was different about this? We'll go around the back. Well, it displays more of the covers there, personalized. You can personalize for life there. But one of the cool things that I liked about this that you didn't have on other Palms is that the flap here was included, but it also had a door, which was great because when you closed it, you could see the time and date there, which was great, which I liked a lot. And you had the one touch to see the time, thousands of solutions, enter data easily, classic organizer functionality without all the paper clutter. Big problem back in the day. Handwrite notes, you had the handwriting recognition, which you had to learn that little secret language that Palms had back in the day, and it wasn't, well, the A's are this way and whatever else. Safeguarding data, easy internet information, download information from the internet, yes, through the cradle, you could do that. This wasn't like the Palm 7 that had wireless capabilities at the time where you were paying by the character essentially on the Palm 7. This one still got internet access data rather, downloaded to it while it was on the cradle at your home PC. You'd get the data here like in the morning. You could download some news stories, read it while you're on your way to work, stuff like that, and then later on you could update it throughout the day, which at the time was pretty cool. You know, we were walking around with those Nokia bricks. We were walking around with really nothing that gave you any sort of information like this on the go, and the thought that you could literally plug this into your computer in the morning, get all the information from the night before the day, you know, get kind of the news stories, finances, what's going on in the world, and be able to read it on the way to work instead of your newspaper was actually was pretty cool. It's still cool to me because I lived through it, but it was pretty cool at the time. So let's go ahead and was there anything else? No, we have the top here. It's basically the same stuff. On the side, does it give contents? Yeah. Palm, it gives us 2 batteries. They're done. Hot sync cable. Getting started. Stylus. Palm 3.5 is what it launched with. Thousands of addresses. Backlit display. All the rest of its storage capacity. There's the 2 megabytes that we talked about. Word and Excel. IBM PC. 486 PC. Woo! Running 3. I needed what? It needed Windows 95 for that, though. Okay, so no 3.1 at this point. Did this not come with a cradle? Interesting. It might not have come with a sink cradle. It came with a, what does it say there? A hot sink cable. All right, maybe that's what they're talking about. It just plugs right into your PC that way. All right, so let's open it up. 23 years sealed. Here it goes. I'm going to try to preserve as much of this as possible as we get into here. This is always cool. All right. Oh, that plastic is really on there. May have been in the sun at some point during its 23 years on the shelf. There's so many of those old computer stores that you see that closed down back then that had just new old stock. I would love just an hour in one of those places just to be able to take out a truckload of that stuff. But all right, so let's flip it open, see the condition inside. All right, there we go. Usual fanfare. You got the book that it came with. This probably has this has the CD in it as well for your PC or 486 PC, and here it is. So there's the batteries over on the side. But we've got it. The M. Oh, this was a foreign version. Interesting. Maybe not. I don't know. There's the Palm. There's the M100. You could tell immediately, or I could tell anyway, by feeling it, the difference in build quality versus something like the Palm 5, which is solid, really well built. You got the metal construction, you got the glass, which is this plastic display versus the glass. It'll be interesting to see the quality of the LCD as well, but it's definitely a little bit bulkier as well. The tolerances aren't quite there. It's got a little creak to it and all the rest of it, but that's because of the price point. $150 now, of course, gets you a heck of a lot more than it did back then, technology-wise, but that's what the cheap version of something like this would be. So let's go ahead and pull the stylus out. There it is there. All right, that's interesting. We're going to pause this in a moment, put some batteries in this and power this up. But let's go through the rest of the box. Got this cable, yep. So this is basically, you put it into your serial port here. You'd plug this into the Palm itself, and that was your hot sink. So no hot sink cradle unless you bought it separately, like you'd get with the other Palms. This one you got to pay extra. So this was really bare bones that you got for $150, and that was it. You got the batteries, you got this, you got the device for $150. All right, we'll pause it here, and we'll be right back after I get some batteries in it. We're back. Batteries are in it. I figured I'd take you through the initial setup. If you're younger, if you never used one of these, you'll know what. So that way you know what we're talking about here. We'll go ahead and zoom in. So basically, you kind of had to calibrate these displays by. Oh, this is going to be tough to do on camera. I'm going to look away for a second. You basically had to calibrate the displays by touching it with the stylus, so it kind of knew where everything was. There it is. That's a pretty decent job. So we'll go ahead and put in the time. It says January 2nd, 2000. This thing's in for a shock as we kind of go all the way out. But I can tell already the display is definitely different. There's flex to it. That's to be expected because of the fact that it is a plastic display as opposed to the glass displays that we see on the more expensive devices. Let's go ahead and put in, what would it say, let's do PM. What are we looking at? 313. That's good enough. All right. So let's get to the main display here. And this is what you got. Pulling up. These are the different programs that you got by default. Address book, calculator, clock, hot sync for syncing up and linking up with your PC. Graffiti, which was basically the way you learned how to do the different letters and how it would do the recognition, handwriting recognition. Date book, memo pad, notepad. Preferences, welcome, which basically is the setup that we just did. Security and to-do list, and that's what you got. I'm actually relatively impressed by the quality of the display. Let me pull up my Palm 5. It's not the degradation that I expected for some reason. In fact, you can see there, I mean, the contrast is a little bit better on the Palm 5, and maybe that's helped by it. Maybe I could tweak that a little bit, but I do like the M100 overall. And it's cheap feeling. Yes, it's a smaller display, but it's not bad. I mean, it's not like super cheap. It doesn't feel like it's going to fall apart. It still feels relatively good. The buttons are decent on it. You had your hot buttons here that you could toggle and go through there. What are the numbers that it gives? Accessories, 800-881-7256 inside the U.S., and you could go ahead and order some of those accessories that we saw. What's the button at the top? Okay, that's the off button. Because if you wanted to do this. Now, it said at a button press. Oh, so we press up. So we're going to close it, and we're going to hit it and see what happens here. There it is. There's the time and date that you could see through the window, which I liked because if you weren't carrying a watch around or your phone was bulky or something like that, you had this out on your desk, you just go ahead, you hit it in a meeting and see how much time you got left. But overall, really nice. I mean, obviously new condition, so I have no complaints about that. But I would have liked carrying this around back in the day. I had a Palm 3 back in high school, back when you basically had to send up smoke signals to talk to people. But it worked well, and I would have carried this around. I would have liked this a lot. Where is the IR for this, though? That's a good question. Did it have IR? It had to have IR capabilities. Absolutely had to. Is it on the side there? That might be it. On the side there? Oh, right up top. Okay, there you go. That's how you transfer programs, information with your friends. If you had a friend who had another Palm, you basically put it on the desk with these aligned. I mean, they literally had to be almost touching each other in order for the infrared to work. And then you'd have a painfully slow data transfer process back and forth between two devices. But it was neat. You know, you could come in there. You didn't need a floppy disk. You didn't need a thumbstick. You didn't need any of that stuff. Back in the day, you didn't have to transfer files between PCs or anything like that. You could literally have something on here, a program that you wanted to play, and you could transfer it to your friends electronically, wirelessly, through the air, through the magic of technology. You could go ahead and use the IR ports on these devices. Very cool. I think I'll use it. It's got the built-in case. You can knock it around a little bit. I'm going to try to find some of those covers that were for this, because you could pop them off here and change them. I want to find one of the red or blue ones. I think that would be cool. So hopefully you enjoyed the little tour down memory lane here, these older Palm devices. I'm sure we're going to have BlackBerry stuff on the channel during the holiday season, and maybe one or two more of these if they come in, if they're inexpensive. If you've made it this far, like, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Until next time, have that Steve-licious day.